So, we talk a lot about the selfless part of service, but what we're promoting at AmeriCorps is it's okay that service can be selfish too. And more we're seeing service becoming a career pathway where it's obviously helping people pay off their student loans, student loan forbearance, giving you a little money in your pocket. So we've got to get to that 250,000 mentors and coaches and student supports. So what would you both say to those that are still on the fence and are thinking about serving with AmeriCorps or becoming a part of National Partnership for Student Success? What would you say to someone who is thinking about serving? Alexis?
I love that question. I share with folks often when trying to evangelize them to the path of service because there's a lot of reason, as with anything in life, there's a lot of reasons to say no. And it's for any opportunity that you're facing, you can lean into that any day. That's the easy stuff. But I really push folks to pause and say, but what would need to be true for me to take advantage of an opportunity like this? And also reminding folks that I believe, both as an AmeriCorps alum, as someone in leadership at an organization that's fueled by AmeriCorps service, is are AmeriCorps members of service to our mission? Yes, but I believe as an alum and as an organization, we need to be of service to our core members as well. I'm where I am with my career and the gains that I've made because of folks that were committed to not only making sure my service was successful in support of our service, but how can they support me as someone who was giving my 1,700 hours and change? It's reminding folks that it's okay. I think in the nonprofit space, mission-oriented work, it can feel sometimes icky to make it transactional and to say what's in it for me. How can service benefit me beyond my Ed Award, beyond my, any perks that each random organization and state has. It's kind of taboo. We're like, oh, we don't want to talk about that. But I really like to hold space and conversation for folks to say is, how can your service year work for you? What are you looking for? What connections can you make? How can you hold your organization and those who are serving with you accountable to support life after AmeriCorps? A lot of people, I think, refer to AmeriCorps as a gap year. And I like to challenge that and say, for me, it was a bridge or a launching pad. It's a really key, pivotal moment for me that unlocked all sorts of doors and opportunities for me to be able to do the work that I do today. And I consider it as alum, to folks in this room, even if you're not an alum, it's how are you serving your core members? How are you creating pathways? And it can be, sometimes it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It's not about robust, programming and PD and all those things. Those are really important, but it's also how can if I look at even our cohort at Reading Partners, if I'm mentoring an AmeriCorps member for a year, what is your goal? If you're not doing a second year of service, which is, we start there, but, what is your goal post-service and how can I support you with that? And is that connecting you to people? Is that supporting you? Is it reading cover letters and resumes? Is it helping source jobs for you? Is it talking through, doing interview prep? Is it making connections where I'm not able to connect? And I think that level of intentionality is critical, and it's empowering AmeriCorps alum and organizations that utilize AmeriCorps members to really take that up. I consider that a responsibility and to take that seriously, not as just an afterthought of like, oh, let's sprinkle in PD, towards the end of the service year in May. Like, what does a real steadfast commitment to our core members' life after service look like? And then also, how do we empower potential AmeriCorps members how can we kind of shift that narrative and hold two truths at once of both service is all the things that we're talking about and that we'll hear about today and that we have heard about, but also here's what it is for you. Here's how you can talk about it in a way of like, here's how this can propel your career. Here's how this can, whether that's in education, in the field you're serving, and I think also it's critical we're reminding folks that I think there's a misconception that where you're serving, you can only really have a direct line to career support if you're, say, for example, my first year of service was directly working with schools in East Harlem and students. A lot of people, generally speaking, transition to being teachers, being in higher education, things like that. I did not want to teach. I went into my service year knowing that, and I had folks that I worked with who still, despite me not wanting to take that kind of stereotypical direct, oh, you served with students directly in a classroom, so you want to be a teacher, let's support you in that. I had folks that are saying, oh, so you want to get into development, you want to fundraise, you want to focus on systems, operations. I was really able to take both of my years of service and the connections that I made within and outside of my organization and really find a career path that was exactly what I wanted, but still in service of students, despite me not directly serving them every day.